So, I'm going to take you through low bar squat reasonably quickly. You have to bear with me because I'm going to have to move this about a little bit on the camera. I'm doing it myself too, so you can kind of see the angles we're working with. So, big thing with low bar is the position of the bar. Okay, instead of the bar being up here, sort of towards the top of the trap, it's going to be a few inches further down. Benefits of that is we're getting a bit more for the posterior chain, so glutes and hammies out of that as well as the quads. So that really, in a nutshell, is the biggest difference in terms of setup positioning, but there's a little bit more to it than that. So I'm going to move you a wee side so you can see it from the back angle, so I can take you through the setup. Okay, so what I would say first and foremost is the low bar is going to be reasonably stressful on your shoulders and wrists, probably more than anything else. So go with a slightly wider grip to start with than you would for your high bar squat, okay? And give yourself time to work into that position. It's quite common for people to sort of note quite a lot of tension in the pec into the shoulders and or forearm and elbow as they're getting used to low bar. So bear that in mind. If you need to shimmy the hands out a wee bit, shimmy them out a wee bit, make it a bit comfier for yourself, okay? But in terms of the full setup, how I would set it up, I'll just set it up and speak you through it as I'm setting it up. I'm going to turn that a wee bit more again, actually. Perfection. Yes. Okay. So, how I would set it up, I personally set my index finger on the rings, okay? So the outside of the rings, that's just my preference width-wise. So you're dipping under the bar, setting the bar further down your back. So just to show you a demonstration, for me that would be high bar. This is low bar, okay? So starting here. So from here, set the bar, squeezing my elbows in, yeah? So squeezing my elbows in nice and tight. You'll see my upper back tightens as I squeeze my elbows in. So lift off, walk it out. Now immediately you'll see the sort of angle of the torso, okay? I'm at a lean starting with. Again, if I was high bar, it'd be much more upright. But I'm at an angle, okay? So from this position, everything else with your squats, the same with the feet shoulder width, toes curled down, tuck your pelvis and embrace, and you're shifting the whole hip back, side back into the movement, drive back up, okay? So we're looking for bar over the mid-foot the whole time, okay? So brace, drive it back up, okay? So for you, the variation is tempo, so 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, and normal on the way back up. So what I'm looking for is pelvis tucked, elbows in, 1, 2, 3, pause, up. Like so. Reason for that is I want to drill this exercise in because I can see it being a competition variation with immaculate technique. I want this to be perfection by the time we get to the heavy loads, and using tempo to do that kind of helps you develop control over the movement. So what I'm going to do before I finish the low bar video, I should not be out of breath doing that, but I am, is move you to the side so you can see what I'm talking about angles wise, okay? Okay, so what I'll do actually while I'm here, because I've got high bar in there, I'll take you through a few points of high bar as well, because that'll clear up any questions you have there too. So I'll show you the low bar angle. I'll finish that first. So low bar from the side, just so you can see what I mean by the angle of the torso and the bracing, okay? So bar in the back, up and out. So you can see the lean there, elbows are in. Shift the whole hip back, sit back into it. You can see the bar is over my midfoot. Drive back up, okay? So we're not wanting, things we're wanting to avoid is the kind of the good morning squats, over leaning. So it is key that you kind of just break from the hip, okay? So tuck in, break from the hip, and then let the knees go forward. That's how you want it to move. And the same way back up, okay? Everyone's lean is going to be different, but what we're looking for is basically an identical movement on the descent and the ascent, okay? So we tuck in, we set our position, come down and lean, drive back up the same way. Where we have an issue is if the hips are moving or the chest is moving, okay? So if your hips shift back and you come out of it like a good morning, that's an issue. Or if your chest sort of curls down, that's an issue, and that's where that cue I was talking about with elbows down, and then that's where that really comes into play, okay, because with low bar, you're kind of at an angle with the torso, yeah? If you don't tighten up top, you're going to get kicked about, okay? So it is key that you tuck the elbows in and bring the chest up, open the chest up as you get your bracing and hold that position, okay? And that'll just kind of solidify the movement. I think while I'm at it, because we're always 5 minutes in, I think while I'm at it, I'll take you through bracing as well. Because I've seen you, I've watched your bracing, and your bracing is absolutely fine, like there's not an issue there. But just to kind of take you through it so you have that video to reference. So I might give it a wee bit more space. So the way I teach it is from the lower abs, okay, so from the pelvis. Essentially what we're looking for is to get the pelvis in the right position, and that is efficient bracing. So what I get people to do, well, what we're looking for is that neutral pelvis, okay, so imagine hips in line with the ribs, yeah? So you can see I tuck my hips in, glutes are nice and tight, and that's the position we want to be in, okay? We want to avoid extension like that. So what I do is I get people to extend, put their hands on the lower abs, tense the lower abs, and remember what that feels like. Then I get them to tuck, so tuck the pelvis forward, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the lower abs again, and feel what that feels like. Generally that feels better. So that's how, what I would say is run yourself through that drill. You'll understand what I mean, and then imagine that feeling as you're under the bar, okay? So remember what that feels like to be tucked, and carry that under the bar when you're squatting, okay? And that is a reasonably simple way to start working on making sure that you're bracing efficiently, because bracing in the high bar and low bar will be slightly different, and although you've got really, really good bracing in your high bar, it might feel slightly weird transitioning to low bar. So it's worth bearing that in mind, that drill, okay, as you switch into the low bar. Right, I'll stop it here, then I'll go through high bar, pal.